Yeah, we can go on, and that was actually just reminding, but we haven't seen that. That was the slide Ollie was talking about. So you know, Dart was is used quite a lot, and we had to do something about it because Dart became too big, and CRUN doesn't like big packages. And from now on, please never ever load Dart. Please load the Dataverse, and I try to explain what it is. It's basically one package that loads them all. So you have one package that installs and does everything, and then you have sub-packages. And can you go to the next slide? And these sub-packages are, at the moment, 7. Yeah, and I come to an idea why that sounds excessive, and actually it was pretty stupid to make 7, but you learn while you do. And so we have basically 2 ones which are really important, and this is space and data. These are these are the essentials. So if you install Dataverse, it will install these 2 packages as well. And then you're done, you're set up, and you can do the main things you know about Dart. And then you have some other ones which have some special functions. And it's not actually to be super clean sometimes. You know, why is it in SIM and not there? So we're still struggling with that. Can I have the next slide? And why is that? You know, sounds funny, and it's more maintenance in some things, yeah, but it's actually easier because it's much faster to test, much faster to compile, and it is better in development because, you know, quite often we have some new functions, and that would mean we would have to get out the big Dart and just rerun everything in there. Now we have smaller packages, and it's much easier, much cleaner to run just the sub-packages and make sure they work. So it's even better for us. And there's one important thing which I show an example in a second. It's easier, I think, to become a contributor. And that's kind of what Ollie mentioned it. I think what we would like to have is really from this workshop afterwards, some people who are really interested and say, hey, I want to contribute to the Dart. Yeah, I want to put my own function, because I'm sure, and I saw all the presenters' code, and it's really interesting to see how people are using it, because everyone uses it a bit differently. Yeah, but I'm sure we can learn from each other how we use the code, and someone has a nifty trick here and some other bit here. And it would be really cool if we could use this momentum from this workshop to go on with Dart, because it becomes in some ends sometimes bigger than Ben-Hur. You know, it's kind of, oh, there's so many things. Yeah. It would be really good if we could try to establish a programming team. At the moment we meet once a week, but we could also try to accommodate that. Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, next one. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's too important. Yeah, there's Dart base, which is the base one. You have to install it. Without it, nothing works. Next one. Data is just the sample data, so you have to have that as well. Otherwise, your examples won't run. They are installed by default. Next one. Data sim is if you're interested if you do some simulations, and I use it a lot. You know, you want to set up some little simulation to see if a method is doing what you think it should do. And sometimes it does not. So that's this area. It's really nice, and there's some more complex simulations tools from Luis in there as well. Next one. Data sexlink is actually really important because it's that's our show-off child. What can happen if you want to be a contributor? That's done basically by Florian and Diana. Where is she? Yeah. And I come to that also in a second and show that again. So basically we have some specialized functions, and we put them in there, and they have now their own package, but it's kind of, if you want, piggybacked on the Dataverse. Yeah, next one. And we have Data Captive, which is meant to be captive breeding. We have some relatedness functions. Ooh. Next one. That's kind of a little bit the working horse, where we have lots of functionality to analyze population structure. You can run structure, you do populations estimate based on linkage. And maybe give me 1 second. I think that's where Dataverse is going to be in quite a few areas. And we show you some examples during the workshop. There's some cool methods that are really hard to run. Structure is one of them. Yeah, and there's some others. And I think Dataverse, and if you put the action together, can really help to run these kind of things. It's not like, oh, it's just easier to run. Yeah, that's good. Now, I think I deeply believe once you have a nice way to run a method, you are much better in understanding it because you testing it more. You know, if you run structure and it took you a week to set it up, You will not run as recommended it 7 times and let it, whatever, converge to those 10 million runs. You don't do that, yeah? Because you run it once and say, yeah, I like that. Or you run it once, and nah, I don't like it, and that's it. So if a method that's easy to use, you really understand it better and you use it better. Okay, next one. Data spatial is kind of things where we, together with Robin, will have a tutorial on that, and I think it's really cool because it's one of the most interesting bits in what you can do with genomics, but yeah, that's all in data spatial. Next one. There'll be a new one, but probably not. I have 7 pages already, and we have quite a few functionality, and we will show that also in the workshop, how you can estimate population sizes, effective population sizes, not only recent one, and not only current, but also backwards in time to see a trajectory. And that's an example where we kind of try to package new methods also in there. Next one. Yeah, how to become a contributor. Different levels of you can do. One is just send us a code and say, this is cool, this does, and then we look at it and we think, oh, that's good, and we put it in there. And we may ask you, hey, can you help us setting up the help file and make a good documentation? And then you would be named in the function, obviously. You know, if you look at the documentation, normally we have always someone who has done that, and we try to cite and put people in there. So it's you become famous, kind of. Okay, next one. You can obviously do more. You can just give us a fully fledged function, and I'm happy to have a work session at some night. What constitutes a Dart-R function? Because we kind of have a lot of testing and a little bit of overboard, have a little bit of philosophy. Arthur will touch that, how we think this should be done. And so if you want to learn that, we can have, if there's interest, have a session at some evening, not today, maybe tomorrow or so. Yeah, so as interest, let me know. Or become really a fully fledged contributor. Can I have the next slide? And learn how to use GitHub. It's a really funny joke because that's actually what happens to GitHub. We all use it, but actually we don't understand it. We just run some little code and hope it does what it does. Okay, next one. And here's this paper child, or how we call it? Paper child? Show-off child? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so basically together with Monash University and Florian from Uni Tasmania, we basically have developed a new package, and it's unfortunately not on CRUN. We try to do that, but it will be very soon. You already can try it, and we will use it also in the workshop to identify sex-linked markers. And as you can see, when you have your own package, you can also get crazy what kind of information you put in there, and yeah, make use out of the functions you contribute. Okay, next one. I pass on to Arthur. I think that's it. If there's not any question, Arthur will be the first kind of a little bit hands-on tutorial. And at some stage, I want to show you also how this cloud thingy thing works that we have to set up, and have to ask Arthur when he wants to do that. Yeah. Any questions regarding Dataverse?
Thank you. This might be a stupid question, but I just put it onto my R while you were chatting, and it says not yet installed, and then goes through all these special packages. So what does that mean, and how do I fix it?
Yeah, the installation there, I didn't, in brief, we do that at night. Please use the cloud at the moment. Yeah, the cloud has everything installed and the code should run. Yeah, and if you want to have your own running, which I totally understand you want to, we do it at some other sessions, because just to let you know, all the code from Dart-R-verse, the dev versions which we're using, is actually broken. Yeah, we couldn't submit it to CRUN in this stage; it wouldn't go through. Yeah, so we kind of made what we didn't want to do. We hacked until the last minute. All of the code and everything together, and now we have kind of a bunch of code, and it's kind of a mess. Yeah, it runs in the cloud, but don't expect it to be solidified. Yeah, so maybe run all of Dataverse is actually also on CRUN. Please install the CRUN versions, but they will be slightly different to the ones we show. Or run the cloud version, yeah? And I show you how you try to get the cloud version. But it's not only us, there are other incompatibilities which makes it hard. Make sense?
Yeah, I've got my own microphone. Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
The cloud thingy thing, do I show that during the session? Now?
Oh, so who's on the cloud? Everyone? Yeah. Because if you want to follow along with me, you'll need to be on the cloud. Otherwise, you can do it out of time, out of session, because Emily has provided all of the script that I use in this session. So,
yeah, and I will give a little bit of an intro how to use it. Give me 5 minutes, 7 minutes, yeah? So people know and comfortable. But I think it's fairly, if you know RStudio, it's fairly self-explanatory, but there's some bits I may want to explain. Can I do that here?
that was me.
Sorry. Yeah, I want to log in myself, is it? Maybe not. Okay. Can I use my... Okay. So basically, I hope you can log into the R Cloud, yeah? Can you? You type in POSIT Cloud, and then you have to have your account, you have to have the invitation from Luis, yeah? And then you have to link it. And then the whole thing almost looks like this, with the exception that you only see 1 or 2 of these kind of things, yeah, not 15. Because Luis is a wizard, and he sees lots of them. And there is one, hopefully you see that, PopGenR, and it's Bernd Gruber. That's the Gandalf gold standard. Yeah? That's what we tested. And please make your own copy so you can change it, yeah? And every time you stuff something up, you can make another copy, and this creates a new virtual machine, and you can probably rename it version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But always start if you think you have stuffed something up from Gandalf, Bernd Gruber, okay? And if you click on that, it will populate hopefully in a second. What it does, it's actually quite nifty. RStudio Cloud creates our own kind of virtual machine for you. Is exactly the same setting what I have, you know, so there should not be any trouble. Yeah, in terms of running the code. That's why it's important. Once we had a cup of coffee, it will load. Not sure. Good news also, you have 4 cores and 16 gigabytes, so it's quite powerful, yeah? And what you should see under the Files tab is all the sessions, and in each of the sessions you find the code. We are now in session 1, yeah? You could go in there and click on the Q&D files, yeah? And if you want to keep this pure, maybe you just say File, Save As, and create a copy from that, please in the same folder, because otherwise the code wouldn't run, yeah? Don't go out of the folder, and rename it, whatever, into my code. I don't know, code my code. Yeah, that's excellent. And then, wow, that's exactly what I should not have done. I put it in the wrong folder. Did I? Yeah. No, it should be there. It's just slow. Okay, sorry, it's just slow. So this is now your own copy, and you can basically run it. And if you're a visual person, you can switch to the visual version of the whole thing, or you can switch to the code version. Yeah, it's up to you in the editor. And it's a markdown file, basically. You know how to run that, or you want to? Okay, can someone of the beautiful tutors? Yeah. So what we also do, we haven't started that, obviously, please forgive us some teasing problems. We have tutors running around doing these things. You know, some people should help you, and hopefully it fixes most of the stuff. Okay. So, it's all slow, is it? Yeah. Okay, basically what will happen, there's your code, and as usual in RStudio, you can run it by pressing on the little things, and Arthur will go through all the steps, and hopefully you can see all the beautiful images and everything, and then, yeah, just follow Arthur's script. Anything else? Any questions regarding this RStudio Cloud?
We've got some people online who may have not gotten the link to the RStudio Cloud.
Link?
The online people, send them the link to RStudio.
There's some
Cloud.
online people that doesn't seem to have it. Can you check this?
Check the junk mail, their junk mail. It's a special invitation that was sent to their mail, and it should be in their mail. They cannot send it.
Yeah,
You can't send it.
So at the moment it's really hard to send, guys. Sorry for that, because it's a special invitation for you, personalized, yeah. And Luis has sent them. Yeah. Can you please try to check that? And if not, come back to us, okay? Any other question? Everyone happy running, and you go back to Arthur, I guess.